Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids. We are, I was gonna say on the test server. I'm in a real test server mood at the moment. Now we're on live servers. We've got some news about CvC coming tomorrow. So it's been a month actually since the last CvC. It was cancelled over Christmas, but CvC is back tomorrow, and it's going to be personal rewards, the first personal reward CvC of 2026. So yeah, I will see you guys for the stream. I'll be streaming on my channel pretty much whenever this timer is complete. I'll be live around about then, and I'll be streaming for what, 2 or 3 hours or so. There should be good fun. We'll hang out, we'll chat about stuff. I still need to do the event dungeon challenge stages, so I've only done a couple of them. And then I was like, shit, I don't have anyone in stone skin. I don't have any cleansers in stone skin or feral set who can actually do this. So yeah, we go finish that off. We'll do some event dungeon stuff then and there. So that should be good fun. So yeah, I'll see you guys for CvC. If you want to hang out, we can chat all things Assassin's Creed, do Grim Forest. Yeah, it'll be a good time. Now, we also have summon news for CvC, and I would say on the whole it's pretty good, to be honest. There's some real sellers in here. I think particularly the Voids. They're like, yo, any Krakens playing the game? This is your 2 days right here. But yeah, I'll break these down in how I've ranked them myself. But we've got day 1, Tuesday, for 24 hours. Aislinn the Stalwart, Edward Kenway, new Assassin's Creed pirate. Just put out a video on him, actually. Talk about how I'd rank him in a sec. Deltas Dragonbane, Kaja the Rye, Timid the Fool. Partnership right there. Then from the Voids, I don't know why, but their emojis are clearly broken for this post. I don't know why. But yeah, Titus, Black Plume, Baron, and Raglan for the Voids. So it's a decent day. It's Bannerlord's Day. It's okay. Wednesday is a good bit better. It's Knights Revenants. Losin Kaleth, Venalicia Thrallmother, White Queen Ancora, Theodore the Savant, Calvalax, Pontiff Augustins. Again, he is the new Void Legendary, who is the event dungeon boss. Hegemon and White King Narses. How would I rank these? Well, this is roughly speaking, I think, where I am going to fall. So let's break it down. So Timid the Fool, unfortunately, is coming in last place. Yellow are these ones. He's not terrible. I think he's average. He's cool, but not too special. Then in B plus tier, again, from how I'm ranking stuff, we have Staltus, Losin Kaleth, and Edward Kenway. So I would put Staltus as the lowest of these. He's a above average AoE defense nuker. He's got 2 AoE attacks, which is pretty cool. He self buffs increased defense, which is pretty cool. He does a bunch of stuff that sets him above the average, right? Self buffs increased defense, 4-turn AoE, 3-turn AoE, but it's a 2-hitter, and each hit can stun. He can also reflect back poisons, weakens, and decrease defense, which is pretty sick. So he's actually very good against Dragon Hard Dungeon because he can reflect all the poisons back. So yeah, Staltus does a bunch of cool stuff. That being said, this stuff is just sort of alphabetical, and then I'm slapping new champions on the bottom, so don't mind the placement within the tiers or anything. Losin Kaleth, I think he's a much stronger enemy than he is an ally, generally speaking. I've not been too impressed with him in player hands. Like, he's okay, he's a bit above average, but he's not as crazy. Like, he's not like a Teox or a Fina or any faction unities on that level, Volcanos. He's okay. He might get a bit better with the Mercurial thing, we'll see. But this move is incredibly good. He is very difficult to fight against in Faction Wars, Event Dungeon. Probably he shows up in Grim Forest. It'd be pretty tough there. He's really tough when he's an enemy, right? Every time you hit him, he's a chance for an instant turn, which is pretty strong with the 3 faction allies. Sort of his issue is I think he's decent, but like, you're up against a hell of a lot of competition. Like, you've got Crixia and Empress, you've got Ancora, Venalicia in there, Mad Hatter's solid, you've got Queen of Hearts, you've got Augustin. Like, you start to run out of slots for top tier champions within the faction when you're actually building a team. I don't know if Kaleth quite makes it. So I think he's good. He could be worth going for because he's a faction unity, but he's not like one of the must-have faction unities. I think he's cool. This to me feels about right. He's a cool, but you know, are you actually going to use him? Is he actually going to be that helpful? Maybe not, but he's fun and he is limited. He's only available in shard events where he's boosted. Edward, although he's at the bottom here of B plus because I just added him to the bottom, I actually quite like Edward. I thought Edward was a hell of a lot of fun. You can check out the video I did today testing Edward. I think he's very, very solid with Ezio in particular. They make a really good duo. Edward's kind of a special thing that he does is he provides perfect veil to other assassins. And one of the big points I made in that video is which assassins actually care. There's only 5. He's one of them. He's already doing it for him. Okay, so now there's 4 potential assassins. Basim provides his own perfect veil, so he doesn't care. I almost gave you the middle finger by accident. Sorry. Bayek doesn't care about perfect veil either. So it's really only Cassandra and Ezio who care about this. And Cassandra kind of sucks for arena. She's kind of pretty mediocre in general, maybe slightly above average. I've put fairly average in general. It's weird because they build her. They said she's really good. When Plarium released her, they said, Cassandra, she's a great PvP champion. I think she's just pretty bad. In PvP, she's real bad. But yeah, Ezio, though. Now, Ezio is the real deal. I'll be doing a showcase on Ezio tomorrow. You can actually see a bunch of Ezio gameplay in the Edward gameplay, and Ezio is absolutely insane. He's a Giga Chad champion. If Cassandra underperformed for how I expected, Ezio's overperformed, and I already thought he's probably one of the better assassins. But yeah, Edward, I've put him B+. I think he's a bit above average. He's cool. He's a nice little combo with Ezio. He can provide the perfect veil, bring some block revive to synergize, some anti-block damage. This move is pretty cool. You know, stealing buffs, pushing turn meter back a bit, sleep that ignores block debuffs is pretty cool. The assassin passive here is not particularly strong, but a couple of assassins together can secure kills. One fun thing with Edward I didn't mention in his video actually is if his assassin passive is the thing that gets the kill, that can actually trigger his other passive. So I noticed, for example, in some of my testing, I don't think it made it to the camera, but when Ezio killed somebody, if Ezio didn't land the killing blow, if it was actually this that landed the killing blow, Edward could actually trigger this on Ezio's turn, for instance. It's kind of cool, where he could ensnare enemies to push their turn meter back. Pretty sick. He's got loads of turn meter pushback on his A1, which is very good for like normal Fire Knight, very good for Dark Fae. There's no Dark Fae on the test server, which is why I didn't showcase it. A normal Fire Knight, I mean, I'm so far beyond it, I just can't really showcase it very well in a very useful way. There's not too many areas in the game where ensnare and loads of turn meter pushback are super useful. Yeah, it's just he doesn't have that many places where he excels. But I think he's actually a decent arena champion. He's not top tier, but he's decent. He does synergize well with Ezio, who's fantastic, really good. And yeah, you can absolutely run him with Ezio kind of anywhere, and they're not too bad. I think that Bayek will be better with Ezio and most PvE content, but you know, Edward's not bad. He's good for PvP. I think because he's such a limited champion, there's almost definitely going to be some sort of guaranteed event to get him. I think you could easily wait for that. But I do like him. He's not a must-have champion. He's not a must-get, but he's pretty fun. He's pretty cool. Kind of like a lot of these B+. They're like, they're actually all right, you know? Then we come up here. And for the more top-rated ones, so Aislinn the Stalwart, Kaja the Rye Baron. Kaja is useful. She's the reviver in the faction if you don't have Raglan. Kaja is in there. You do have some, it's worth saying, you've got Ursula in there as well. So you've got a very good epic reviver too. Kaja's quite decent. Good speed booster, speed not bad as aura. Good turn meter boost with a little bit of block debuffs and a little debuff removal. AoE revive is nice. She's not spectacular, but she is a good speed booster and a good AoE reviver. Solid. Decent. Who else do we have? We've got Baron, great damage dealer. Again, just massive, huge big nuke here. When this triggers Helm Smasher, it just goes crazy. Big nuke. Got some decent single target damage. Guaranteed, which means irresistible, decreased defense, which is fun. Again, they just have some of the way they've written their skills has evolved over the years, and older champions are kind of like out of date, basically. But yeah, so he's pretty solid. Aislinn the Stalwart, he is a faction unity. I think he's more useful than Losin Kaleth, to be honest, but still not crazy useful. The way I'd put it is he's very good if you have Taras and Marishka, but if you don't have Taras and Marishka, you probably don't need to bother. He's mostly used for like siege. You can also use him in tag defenses and stuff like that. Basically, Taras and Marishka are super strong, and he combines extremely well. Now, if you don't have them, you could also consider Joan would be really good as well. Maybe Androck actually too, but yeah, you kind of need the top champions for PvP to really make him worthwhile. Not particularly useful for PvE. So yeah, I think I've put him up here. sort of a general spot, but it's sort of dependent on having the best banner lords to go with them. And they're two void legendaries. They're tough to get, but he is very powerful when you put him with Titus and Marishka, no questions. That's them. Hegemon and Narcisse, both great PvP champions over here. Hegemon, obviously, he's going to struggle against Total Guard, but at least he can remove a stack. He obviously struggles against Stone Skin, but if people don't have Stone Skin, he comes in and he nukes them, and he can just kill them straight up, which is really powerful. So he's a niche PvP pick, but he's pretty great at what he does. But it is niche. He's worth having on an account, for sure, and you would build him, for sure, and use him every now and then. He can just solo siege defenses sometimes. I'm in tier 8 siege, the top tier of siege. There's a surprising number of times where I just go in and go, oh, that defense, they didn't put Stone Skin on. Great. I just one-shot their entire team with Hegemon. That was an easy siege fight, which is kind of crazy. So he's really good. Narcisse, I'd also put up in this higher sort of tier as well. He's a partner champion at White Queen Ancora. Extremely good against enemies with shield or strengthen. He does an extra hit. This hits really hard if they've got shield or strengthen. He ignores shield and strengthen as well, which means he's even better. That's sort of his niche. He's very strong at countering that stuff. He does pair very well with White Queen Ancora. So he's a good, solid nuker. Not the best of the best anymore. They sort of came out as a counter to Taras Marishka back in the day. But very, very solid. We'll come back to Augustin in a second. In the A+ tier, I do have Raglan in here. Yeah, I think that's fine. Raglan has been maybe a little disappointing to me because I'm looking at her to be, for me, a pretty high-rated champion. She's got a fantastic revive, which is really cool. She has a passive now as well, which is really cool as well. I think one of her problems is if she's not reviving people, if people don't actually die, she doesn't do that much. She's a 4-turn cooldown on these buffs, which kind of sucks. Her A1 is some sort of random turn meter fill. It can be decent, but yeah, I don't know. But I do think she's quite powerful. I have her, but unfortunately, I don't really use her too much because I only have a 2-star blessing. So again, for like end game PvP, you really need high level blessings unless you're giga OP. So like I use my Nice and Empress a good bit, even though they don't have any blessings because they're Nice and Empress, like probably the two best nukers, certainly in the conversation in the entire game. Raglan is pretty solid though. She's pretty good. Could be very, very helpful. But that being said, there are some better options. So yeah, for the voids, I would say the best void. We'll talk about Augustin now as well. Titus. Now he's a spicy one. Titus, totally. You need Wixwell is the problem, but Titus breaks stuff, right? Yeah. So these teams do more than 2 billion damage. Problem is that the clan boss is incapable. It's like an integer in how they've coded the game. They're not capable of displaying a higher number, but he is actually doing more damage than this. It's not that, you know, whatever, 10 people in my clan happen to do exactly the same amount of damage. What a coincidence. How did we coordinate that? No, it's that it happens to be capped. So he breaks Demon Lord. It's not too important. We're sort of low scoring here, so I don't know. But yeah, he obviously breaks. Do we have any high scoring? Not massively. I mean, well, there we go. There's a nice high score. 5 billion damage from Titus and Hydra. Extremely strong in Hydra. Chimera Clash. Anyone running Titus? Yeah, here we go. Again, 2.14 billion damage. He's actually done 6 billion. He breaks Chimera as well. Now, you do need some really powerful teammates to go with him. But Titus, that is why, because I got some comments about it. That's why, again, the placement within the tier doesn't matter. It's like alphabetical based off the faction or something. It doesn't matter. But he is in there because he is so busted, right? He's so busted when it comes to yeah, when it just comes to these PvE clashes, right? The PvE VP, you know, where it's PvE, but you're competing with other clans. You just can't beat Titus. Now, Trunda can beat him. Trunda does beat him in Hydra. But he's also easier to run. So yeah, he's kind of busted. So I think this is Kraken bait number 1 is Titus. Like especially if you need Wixwell, right? Without Wixwell, he's pretty mediocre. But for Krakens that are like looking to just win everything in the game, right? And they've got the cash, you kind of need to just buy Titus. It's the pay to win champ. There he is. He's available. So hooray, I suppose. Let's talk about these. We got some Knights Revenant here. Again, some very good ones. A couple of Poisoners. Theodore is excellent, right? Puts out, sorry, it's this move, puts out some AoE poisons, poison sensitivity, also increased speed, which is cool. Then he can activate poisons and burns, which is sick. He only activates one turn of them, but that's really cool. So he can be a burn exploder or a poison exploder. He can do both, which is awesome. He has an AoE decreased speed, which is cool as well. He can solo a bunch of easier dungeon stuff. That's not too important, but he can do it. He's a really, really great champion. Calvalax with the Arachnolixir and Lethal Dose Blessing is basically like a Hegemon, but he kills Hegemon before Hegemon can, well, as soon as Hegemon takes a turn, he dies. So he actually sort of counters Hegemon as well, which is cool. Unlike Hegemon, he does have a speed aura. So I generally consider Calvalax to be a little bit better than Hegi. You run them in very much the same way. I think he's a little better, but they're pretty interchangeable, Calvalax and Hegemon, to be honest. And then Venalicia, I've rated her very highly. I think she's like one of these new revivers that's really cool, where she's the AoE revive. If everyone is dead, it's even better. She also is doing a mini lockout on the revive. She also has AoE buff removal, block buffs decrease defense, which is great. She's gaining turn meter when people die. She's putting out pain link and healing based off of it. She's got a triple hit with weak and A1. I think she's really freaking good. Really, really good. Now, obviously, I think the best reviver in the game, which is the spicy, there's the big debate, right, at high end. Who is the best reviver in the game? Is it Starsage Galathier or is it Theodosia? And I think Theodosia is considered to be slightly better these days at the top of the top of the top. I mean, they're both ridiculously good champions, obviously. Venalicia is kind of like a mini, sort of combines the two forms of Theodosia. Not quite as powerful, of course, but sort of does a little bit of what both of the forms do, kind of in the one. So she's really, really good, I think. So she'd be pretty high up there in terms of the meta ranking. Where were we? Oh, yeah. And then finally, we've got Augustine. I'm not sure where he lands. My issue with Augustine, or Augustin, is he's not going to be time limited. He will always be around. I think he's only really good for PvP, you know? Intercept, increase accuracy, intercept, turn meter boost into an extra turn. Then he's got AoE buff removal with ensnare and turn meter pushback. He's got a really cool passive where he protects you from damage from enemies under these effects, which are mostly just things you fight in PvP. And then when enemies receive buffs or healed or have turn meter fill, he can decrease their buffs, which is really good. Speed in all battles aura, a really good aura. I think he's mostly a PvP champion. I haven't tested him yet, so that's why, by the way. So you can see I've updated my tier list a little bit, by the way, based off your feedback. Glacea, I've put up higher, and I've sort of Ezio, I've put up actually high. I've tested Ezio now. Video on him tomorrow. He's an A+ for me. Ezio is actually super freaking good. I've put, where do I put? Yeah, Edward I put into B+. I think it's probably fair. I put Cassandra into B, which may be a little bit harsh, but I don't know. That seems to be my niche at the moment. I'm the Cassandra hater, so let's play up on that, right? And then I haven't tested these 5 champions yet, so they're still waiting placement. They're approximately where I think they will be. They might go higher though. I don't think Basim will go higher. I'm pretty certain he's pretty straightforward champ, pretty useful. Block active skills that bypasses block debuffs is really cool. And I think he's going to do very good damage, certainly for my damage testing he did. So I'm pretty confident he'll be A. I'm not sure about the others. And Augustine I'm not sure about, but because he is new, shiny, this is another Kraken bait champion. So especially Krakens who have Titus already, and I'm like, I cannot wait to spend some money in 2026. Augustine will be one that they'll probably be chasing. Again, he's mostly for PvP. I think particularly Siege, because he's got such a good aura for Siege. It'd be excellent for Siege. One slight problem with this turn meter pushback stuff is obviously Marius just starts counterattacking you and killing your entire team. Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure exactly how good he will be. I haven't tested him yet, but I will test him this week and we'll figure it out. So I probably won't test him on time for this, but generally, I would also say it's fun to look at this and to talk about where these champions will end up and how good they are and how the game is changing and evolving. I wouldn't massively recommend pulling for this though. If you're going for the Cassandra fusion, which is certainly not a must fuse, but I mean her biggest pro is she is the only champion of the faction so far. And she's time limited, so you've got that FOMO Pokemon collect them all thing. If you're going for her fusion, right, there's going to be a bonus summon rush event at the end. And bearing in mind these other assassins, they're going to be running events for them. I would expect a Deck of Fate. I'd expect a Titan event. Definitely expect a Heroes Path. Funny enough, I think Ezio, they're giving Ezio for free. He's actually phenomenal. But Basim seems cool, and I think he's a nice little standalone nuker. Not like the best of the best, but pretty cool. And I'm quite interested in Bayek as sort of the. I think Edward is better enabler for PvP, but I think Bayek is really, really good for PvE, and like definitely for like newer players, right? Man, if you could get this guy, that provoke, like if you're progressing on Hydra, like my god, he's insane for Hydra, and all of that. So I would be more inclined, although there are some really good champions in here. The ones I'd be looking at be Venalicia is great. Titus is super OP. I'd say Augustine because he's time limited, and we might even call Edward, even though I'm not rating him the highest. He is a time limited champion, but I think generally you're probably better off simply waiting for guaranteed events, which are surely going to come during this Assassin's Creed collaboration. And I'd definitely be expecting like a super OP fusion for March. We've had Armans and Fabian the last 2 years in March. So I was sort of expecting a really OP fusion then, and you're going to want to do the Heroes Path or Titan event or whatever comes with them, which probably requires another, 10 to 20 sacred shards worth of stuff, right? So yeah, I'd be more tempted. I just don't think this is a great event to pull for, but there are some really solid champions in there. So as I said, if you're a Kraken, Titus probably number one. Pontiff pretty cool as well, especially if you've got Titus already, or you don't care about PvE, just care about PvP. He could be cool, maybe, I don't know. But that's sort of where we are at with all of that. So let me know your thoughts. Are you going to pull for this event? Again, for me, it's a solid no. I am going wait for what is coming that is guaranteed in the future. Well, I mean, I would love to have a lot of these champs. I don't have a lot of them. I'd love to have them. They're really cool. I will say with Pontiff, one point to make. The event dungeon boss, they have never given as a guaranteed. No, yeah, they've never done it as a guaranteed champion. We've had like Odin, Queen of Hearts, Barossa the Covetous. I forget the other one. We've had a few. They've always been like Prism events, which is the better way to get them if you're spending money. But again, you need to be spending hundreds of dollars to have a chance. Hooray. Yeah. They've never given these as guaranteed, so I would not expect a guaranteed event for Pontiff, particularly because he's going to be permanently in the game. But I'd be expecting several 15x events over the course of the Assassin's Creed collab, boosting him. I'd expect him to show up in a Prism event, possibly for winning a champion training or champion chase tournament. They could do that, or his soul. They could do that, and I do think downside, in my opinion, for him is as a go first speed champion, he really wants that nice 6-star soul for that plus 15 speed. Isn't that fun, having 15 speed less because you spent less money? Hooray! Joys of the game. So yeah, no thoughts on that. So yeah, he's not likely to be part of a guaranteed event, but his soul probably will be as well. But yeah, he is a sort of money, champion you got to chase with money. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I'll probably test him out. Like I said, maybe we'll test him out tomorrow on the CvC stream. That's the final thing. See you for the CvC stream tomorrow. Just a reminder, I will be live when this goes live in game. So I'll see you here, same bat time. Well, this bat time on this bat channel. Yeah, see you then. Thanks for watching, everyone. Goodbye.